Hey everyone, welcome back to Pouring Takes. I'm Charlie Van.
And I am Rhea. We are flying high and not crying on this Tuesday evening.
You're taking my puns.
I'm sorry.
But I'm there with you. Which only means we can have our victory shots.
Oh, we're going to do victory shots? We never do shots anymore.
Well, they're better than flu shots. And remember, it's the shots you don't take.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Exactly.
Said who?
Well, you know who didn't? Wayne Gretzky, right?
Correct.
But you know who doesn't miss, and we'll get in a second, is Mr. Brandon Aubrey. He does not miss those shots. So,
all right,
cheers.
Victory Tuesday.
Victory Tuesday, first place, NFC East.
Cry, Eagles, cry.
Cry, Eagles, cry. Also, congrats to the Stars and the Mavs. We'll get into them later, but 3 wins going into the week. Why not?
Cheers.
Ooh, and that was some Tully's Dew.
Tully's Dew. Did you just make that up?
I did. I made it hybrid. Little Irish whiskey. Do like some Irish whiskey. Very good. So, but what we're going to be sipping on, Rhea.
Yeah, what did you bring me today?
Yeah, I brought you a little.
I feel like you keep bringing me presents. I love this.
I'm the gift that keeps on giving. I'm Santa Claus.
Well, it is my birthday week.
It is. Mm-hmm. So what better than a nice seasonal Christmas ale? This is actually St. Arnold's Christmas Ale. St. Arnold's is out of Houston. They're one of my favorite Texas breweries. Actually, just quick background. And their lawnmower was one of my first craft beer experiences in college. So
their lawnmower?
It's called lawnmower. Yeah, it's a nice Kolsch. Very easy summer drinking. But I love this. Every year I get giddy. So here we go. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
Yeah, and, you know, some of the holiday beers are hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
They can be too, like, peach or the way that plum.
Oh, I hate fruity beers. I can't.
Yeah.
My body does not like them. Rejects them.
They do it right. I saw this on actually Tap I was in Grapevine. By the way, have you ever been in Grapevine during Christmas?
No, I want to go. I heard it's like the Christmas capital of the United States.
Exactly. It looks like a Hallmark card. Like it's phenomenal. But I went into this bar and they had it on tap, and I got super giddy, and the waitress was like, "Oh man!" So yeah, love it. Anyways.
And you were with our buddy Danny.
Danny, one of our guests, Detroit Danny, as I call him. I don't know how he's feeling right now after that Lions game.
Oh, we will get into
Lions games, plural, because of how they've been lately.
We will get into the fraudulence that is the NFL.
We will.
But first, most important, how about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys? I'm going to steal Mr. Skip Bayless over here. Yes, I mean, probably the must-needed win of the season right now.
The signature win.
The signature win. It answered, I think, a majority of our questions.
Yes.
Right now. I mean, and just because, especially even after last week, with how that defense lack of performance.
And we called that out. We said, our defense got exposed, and you're about to go against a really decent offense in Philly. How are you going to respond? And respond they did.
Played all 4 quarters strong, but right from the get-go, just smashed them in the mouth.
Yeah, you're quoting D-Law, right?
Yeah.
We're going to hit him in the mouth, they drop down, we're going to hit him again.
I'm not going to use his exact words.
That was aggressive, but I like it. It reminds me of Hot Boy season a couple years ago. Like that D-line just really feeling themselves and showing that charismatic, badass personality on the field.
Is he the last Hot Boy?
Yeah.
It's sad. He's representing what a season. Nobody talks about enough, and now he's a nominee for the Walter Payton, which is
lovely,
very deserved. But he's been a silent assassin, which is great. He's been that veteran that we really need to step up on that defense. And man, the last couple of weeks, he's been phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely. And I told you one of the keys of the game was that D line specifically. They had to get to Jalen Hurts. They forced turnovers. They made it uncomfortable. They couldn't get their run game going. So like you said, they didn't even score a touchdown during that game. So the offense did not score a touchdown. But yeah, that was, if there was any way to respond, that was it.
Yeah, I mean, and the constant pressure, and how about Stephon Gilmore turning back time? I mean, looking like a turn, even though, to his credit, I mean, he hasn't missed a step. But, I mean, just stuck to A.J. Brown like glue, and just the moves he made, especially.
He was on both. He split time between A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith.
Both of them, nightmare.
Yeah.
And our question was, what's going to happen when Diggs? Well, this is why you got Gilmore. Everyone looks at his age. No, he's a vet. And I said that in the beginning, like, if you had a guy that you need to be out there, I want this guy. If he can stay healthy, which he has, knock on wood, that's why.
Also,
you brought him in.
Switching the side of the field, how great did Dak Prescott look? He hit every single receiver.
Every receiver, even though he's going to tell you he could have done a lot better, that's just Dak.
He was like, I want to have 50.
Well,
Calm down,
and
bro.
I'm sure in his mind, I'll say this, just like Joy Taylor said, if Fletcher Cox hit you, you're going to fall. That's just one of those things. That was just a minor.
That was his first turnover in forever.
And that's one of those that I don't even fully count because there's not much you can do with that. You get hit with a force like that. It's not like a pick six or a tip ball. It's going to happen. But his calm and composure and Jake Ferguson, his connection there.
Yeah.
Brandon Cook. Just seeing the field away it's the best I've ever seen Dak play.
And it's not just Dak. Last year we harped on how bad the receivers were. They were dropping passes. They weren't getting open. They were running the wrong routes. Everything is just kind of flowing together. And it just happened to be against one of the top 3 teams in the league.
Do you think it's also because we did not, obviously we talked about, losing a guy like Mark Kirk, but quickly having someone like Cooks, which we didn't have that X factor there, that additional support there, and especially now with Gallup being 100% and that, so it was all on Lamb. And if there was miscommunication there, that was it. But now you got a guy like Cooks that we've now elevated at this point. How much do you feel like that's a huge turn right now?
Oh, absolutely huge. And if you watch the game back, having Brandon Cooks made Michael Gallup a better player on Sunday.
Gallup, the freaking catch.
The toe touch on the sideline.
That was a very Odell Beckham catch.
And, that confidence is just rolling through the entire team, and it's great to see. And the other thing that I really like them doing is, and I keep bringing this up with Tony Pollard, they're giving him the outlet passes instead of handing him the ball off. And then you bring in Rico, and Rico's the pounding back. Exactly. And they executed their stuff perfectly yesterday. Sunday.
Sunday. It feels like yesterday. But
I watched way too much football. No sense.
And just watching the and this is what we were saying. This is what they should do. And you don't have to weep over Zeke in that matter that you're missing that. You got a guy in Rico that can do it. Even though, Zeke's build is a little bit bigger, but Rico's able to push it. And Tony's the outside guy. Nowhere near to force him up the middle. It doesn't make sense.
That's not his style.
That's not his style.
He's good in the open field. He'll juke some people. He can get into the second level. And this is what I was wanting last year. You wanted an offense that played to everybody's strengths. And we finally have that.
Exactly.
And they designed that game plan without Mike McCarthy, by the way.
Yeah. Well, and you have Turpin in there. I love how they utilize him in and out. I still would love a little bit more Hunter Lynn, but I get what they're doing with him.
You are just a sucker for the fullback.
Well, but I get what they're doing, the blocking. That's one thing he can do that the others can't, and that's perfectly fine. There will be a time for him in that. But I love that they're just really opening the playbook and being creative, but this is what Mike McCarthy did do prior to coming here, and, taking that reins. I'm super excited. But how about Mr. Automatic or Butter Brandon Aubrey?
I like the Butter nickname. I'm here for it.
Yeah, it is Butter.
Smooth like butter.
This guy was sitting on the couch, former MLS player, software engineer, and his wife like, you should do that. He's like, why not? And
Let me just hire a coach and train for 2 years, make the USFL, and then try out for the Cowboys just because I can.
Well, now if you do look at I hope people never forget this guy, Matt Stover, soccer player, Phil Dawson, both Lake Highlands High School represent, and that soccer style, I'm sure a lot of them do, but that accuracy, but also I just think him not being in the NFL right now, and just that his composure. Not
just that. I think a lot of kickers have this mentality of, if I mess this up, my career is over. Brandon Aubrey has a successful career outside of football. Yeah. If football doesn't work for him, his life doesn't end.
No.
He can go back to his 6-fig minimum job of a freaking software engineer and be just fine. And I think you can tell in his body language. I love the way he walks up to the ball, he holds his shoulder pads or whatever you call this thing, his chest plate. And it's so casual with him. I don't see any stress or anything. And then you put the mic in front of him, and he's just the same person. He's very calm, very level-headed. He's not afraid of the big moment. How many guys can hit a 59 and a 60-yarder in the same game?
No, he's the best kicker right now in NFL. Maybe one of the best kickers, I definitely will say, in the Cowboys' history right now, as of right now. I've never seen even the veterans to come in and be that accurate. Got a lot to go, but, I mean, what he's been doing, it's been phenomenal. And let's give the best credit, Mike McCarthy. I mean, that was his flu game. I mean, had his appendix out last week.
And was like running up the sidelines, and I was like, sir, you should not be doing that.
Yeah. But you know what? I mean, that tells a coach that is going to be there with the team, and I like that. And he hasn't missed a beat yet with the play calling, I feel, since the turnaround after the Niners.
Yeah, I really think out of the years he's been here so far, since 2021, this is by far his most successful. Everything just is firing in all cylinders. The guys trust him. They're rallying around him. They bought into the process, and he's maximizing all of their skill sets.
Exactly. And that's why I was excited about him coming here. Like, I know the last couple of years wasn't the most ideal, but I don't think there was a lot of reins there. Like, I think there was a little free with Kellen, but I wanted to see what he could do and what he can do with Dak, because his resume is one of the best quarterback coaches. Like, one of those, and you're seeing it now, and it's been exciting. Also, one thing that doesn't get praised, I think our O-line has definitely turned the best stone. One, obviously, they're
I believe
healthy.
we have the top 2 highest graded O linemen on our. It's Tyler Smith and
Zach Martin.
Zach Martin. Yeah.
But still, Tyrone's healthy. He's there. Like, that's the key. Like, we have that back, and that's one thing every season we've been missing. It's been scattered here and there, and we have it, and that's why also the run game we've been able to do so.
All right, so now we're in our gauntlet now. We played Philly. We had the tough game with Seattle.
Yeah.
Now we've played Philly. We fly up to Buffalo on Sunday for America's Game of the Week on Fox.
There you go.
Luckily for us, it's going to be a pretty mild day. I think the high is 50 degrees, no snow, no rain, so it'll be like perfect football weather. But Buffalo has had an interesting stretch here, winning against Kansas City, and then they won the game before that too.
They lost to the Eagles.
They lost to the Eagles.
Yeah,
okay.
in overtime. Yeah, they've been an emotional roller coaster this season. I mean, the way they started against the Jets, and close win against the Giants, So they're 2-point favorites, but I'm not as fully scared. I'm not unnerved because they do this every other game. And Josh Allen is the interception king.
Not just that, I think if the D-line plays the way they played against Philly, they are going to force Josh Allen to do dumb things.
Yes.
And he's notorious for running head first into whatever. If I'm the D-line coach, the guy from Great Britain, who I'm a huge fan of, by the way, I'm telling my guys, he takes off, you hit him as hard as you possibly can, because he's too dumb to remember to slide.
And we're one of the best, probably one if not the best defense they're going to play right now. I mean, coming up and all season. And another thing is, I'm going to say this, he can't turn the ball over more than once or it's over. I'm going to say that. We're just one of those defense, you feed us, it's over. And I'm not too worried about their defense. I'm fine with what the offense. I think this is just like last week, my same assessment. I think it's going to be close. It's going to come down to D. I think 2 points is a little overcredited. Like, the Bills are too wishy-washy right now. I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, I also think it's going to be close, and I wouldn't be surprised if we drop this one, but we pick up the win in Miami.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Buffalo,
And the win, too. There still could be win. And could this be the Aubrey? I don't think so.
Don't jinx my kicker like that.
I think it's going to be good. But at the same time, I'm not surprised we win this either. Like, I think Cowboys fans have been we've had so much like PTSD and stuff, but this is a different team. I really do feel this is a different team.
Are you our sports therapist right now telling us, hey, you have to assess the situation before you make conclusions based on things you've seen in the past?
Yes. And the things I've seen in the past weren't like this. And we haven't had everything fire off on all cylinders either, not since the 90s. And maybe 2007 up into the playoffs, but this is the most confident I've felt. I'm not talking about postseason, I'm talking about right now. And old Cowboys lose that Seahawks game, not this one. Old Cowboys don't blow out the Eagles, whether they beat them or not.
Yeah.
This one does.
My only fear is I don't want them to take that energy from the Eagles game and manifest it different, like in the wrong way. I think you can take momentum and roll with it, but you have to stay level-headed and you have to stay humbled.
Yeah, and I think Mark McCarthy will. You know why? Because he has the experience none of these coaches that he's about to coach against have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he has the Super Bowl ring.
Oh my God, the Sean McDermott quote?
Yeah, that's well, go look it up.
Yeah, I'm not going to repeat
Yeah.
it, but like.
And that's why I'm fine being wrong in this because, like I said, like you're fine dropping this and this. I think we beat them.
All right.
I think we smack them right in the mouth.
I think it's going to, just like I said last week when I was
close.
wrong, I think this is going to come down to the leg of Aubrey. I think this is going to be the Brandon Aubrey game.
And that's why I feel even extra confident. But, I think we need to feel good. That's our next point. Are Cowboys for real? I do think so. Let the postseason be the postseason, but we have to give them credit where credit's due. This is the best football we've seen from this team in 30 years. It really is. In this stretch where it matters, when we all know December is hot.
So they can be for real and all, but the main question you need to be asking yourself is, what is the talent disparity between them and the 49ers? Because at the rate we're going, we're probably going to have to play San Fran at some point in the playoffs, right? And, when we played them, what was it, 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, we were one team. They've added pieces. We've grown up. Are we still going to get blown out by San Fran, or are we going to be able to keep it close? Are we on the same level? Like, where do we stand?
Let's put a analysis on how this matchups have been going up until that October. Last year was winnable. We zigged when we should have zagged. January 2022 should have won. Zigged when we should have zagged. Clock management. Those were probably the last two times in the reason that we've actually had to really play the Niners, which is weird, especially with our competitive history in the Niners. So October was a little weird to me. It's almost like they were gunshot.
October was the outlier.
Yeah. Because same team matchup. Maybe we added a few. They didn't have Fred Warner. That's pretty much their ad. So.
And don't get me wrong, Fred Warner's the real.
You know what we did different in January that we didn't do in October? We didn't get straight in Purdy's face. We did not smack him. When we smacked him in January, we rattled. We got to rock him. And this defense right now has been doing that. We take fighting and all the analogies because it's all the same. A lot of people lost to Anderson Silva before they got in the ring. Chris Wyman didn't. He's like, I'm just going to smack him. I'm going to take him down in the deep waters. And there are teams there's fighters that have lost. Amanda Nunes, like all these that have come in, like they got smacked and they're like, you know what? I'm going to go right to him. Leon Edwards, come on. It was a late one, but it doesn't matter. After that, he realized, okay, it's all in the head.
Yeah.
And if I had to take who has the championship, I would still take McCarthy. Because experience still counts, and it's him as a coach. He's also got to realize that. It's like, who's got the ring at the end of the day?
All right, I hear you. That was a really good answer, by the way. Okay, so tell me. So we both say Cowboys win, super close. Yeah. What is your biggest X factor for this matchup?
Defense, turnover. Turnover
change.
I'm not worried about the offense. I mean, I'm not worried about that. And we just said it last week. Diggs, the chemistry there, like just things are off that need to be tight knit. The Chiefs should have won that game. They lost that game. Even though they were behind, that was games you lost. We're not one of those teams. We're not going to keep you in the game if we don't have to. And not with this defense. Just smack them again.
Okay, for me, I'm going to go offense. Offensive line.
Yeah.
Protect Dak.
Yeah, and run the ball.
Yeah, it's a road game. You should run the ball more. But in my head, I'm like, you saw the Eagles kind of get to Dak a couple times. Yeah. Dak forced a fumble. Just protect Dak. If you give Dak time, Dak will find the open guy, and that's how you score points.
And no penalties.
And according to Booger McFarland,
that's how you win.
Score more points, you win the game.
So, and I was watching some of those hits. There were some missed Biotish blocks there, and actually still has turned around since the Eagles whole thing. But there's some missed blocks on Biotish. But yeah, protect Dak. Let Dak cook.
All right. Let's move on to the rest of the NFL. Crazy stuff happened over the weekend. Most notably, the end of that Kansas City Chiefs-Buffalo Bills game, where Travis Kelce threw this beautiful lateral to Kadarius Toney for the game-winning touchdown. All of it to be blown dead because Kadarius Toney lined up offside, and according to Dan Orlovsky, Kadarius Toney was pretty much lining up offside the entire game.
Mm-hmm. And they finally called it.
And they chose the last play of the game to call it. So my question here is, you know, is it the ref's fault or is it Kadarius Toney's fault?
Kadarius Toney, if he's been doing it the whole entire time, and here's the thing, he's been kind of their Achilles heel since game one. I think Mahomes, I saw different reaction, but the same reaction was, Mahomes is really more mad at Kadarius Toney, at his receivers, and taking out the refs as the good team kind of escape. Come on, who's been failing the whole season? His receiver core.
It is appalling how
even
bad
include
those
number
receivers
87, his Gronk. And he'll say the same thing. Travis says it on his podcast. I need to stop dropping balls. They all have been failing him. And he has been the nice guy so far, throwing himself on it even against the Eagles. Like, well, I could have done this. I could have done that. No, dude, they should catch it.
Yeah. I'd be pretty freaking pissed, too, if, like, we were doing this show and you decided to phone it in one day, right? You know, we trust each other. We trust each other that we're going to show up. We're going to do our homework. We're going to watch our games. We're going to do all these things. And if one day you don't do those things, I might light you on fire.
Well, is it phoning in or is it he just doesn't have the receiving core that he did before? Outside of Travis, think about it. They got rid of Juju Smith-Schuster. He makes that Scanlon touchdown. We saw it last year. Like, Tyreek Hill makes some of those big plays.
These are mental mistakes these receivers are making. These guys are talented. And it's really funny. One take I saw was Kadarius Toney had a pretty decent start his first 2 years in New York. And whatever attitude he was throwing in that locker room, the Giants were having no part of it. And we're like, yeah, we'll take a third-round pick for this guy. Just take him off our hands. You know, when you have guys like that don't, you know, believe in the process, don't do those small things to make them better, it shows up on game day in the form of lining up offside or dropping passes or running the wrong routes. These guys need to be more like mentally accountable. And I think that's what's driving Patrick Mahomes crazy. If you watch his stuff on quarterback, he is the most meticulous human ever. And that's why he's the top quarterback in the league.
So did you ever see Travis's, it was maybe early this year on his podcast, could have been last year, where they were out watching some volleyball or whatever game, and Travis was Patrick was in the car going through the book, watching tape, doing that. But is it because Eric Bieniemy is no longer there?
No, no, because you see what Washington's doing.
Yeah.
Another shit show for all intents and purposes.
Then, okay, but the fact that they've had, we said this earlier in the season, why we said they would be, you know, you can't count out the Chiefs because Mahomes can make anybody out of anybody, right? Kind of like how Brady did.
But they have to put in the work on their end too.
Well,
it's not a one-way street.
So is this Andy Reid? Is this the discipline? Overall?
It's the lack of discipline for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're coming off winning a Super Bowl, you know, there's like an expectation.
But I mean, they've come off a couple of Super Bowls, win or lose.
But I'm saying there's an expectation that you're the best in the world, and you have to maintain that. And it doesn't just keep happening when you stop doing the little things that matter the most. It's the same thing with fighting, right? You train every day to keep your hands up. That is the most important rule in fighting. Keep your dang hands up. What happens when you drop your hands? You get knocked out, right?
You get my nose.
So Kadarius Toney is training with his hands down. So when he's fighting, his hands are down.
And Travis Kelce is I mean, here's another thing though. But what also looks on concern is the way that they handled that game. You know, Patrick's comment, leave it be. Don't tell Josh. At the end of the day, he won.
He was frustrated though. He was uncontrollably frustrated. I get being a professional, but something has got to give.
But that's not the refs, and he knows it.
Yeah, so, that, like you said, it's the PR.
But also Andy Reid went out in the red. It's like, as a coach, just get out of it. Fine. If your player is frustrated like that, it just shows the disarray, though.
But I don't have a problem with Patrick Mahomes reacting the way he did. Everybody knows who Patrick Mahomes is, what his work ethic is like. His resume speaks for itself. It's the Giselle quote. He can't throw and catch the ball.
But he's not mad at the refs, though.
No, he's not. We all know that. But seeing that frustration, it's real, and I'm here for it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
He needs to be mad more often. Maybe he'll light a fire under those guys to hold their hands up when they practice fighting. I don't know. But they need some sort of kick in the ass if they want to be in that conversation.
I think there's
season.
trouble in paradise, and it's interesting because usually, and I'm going to say this because maybe this is what we're seeing with the Eagles. You usually see the losing team have these rumblings after the Super Bowl. The fact that both right now, because right now the Chiefs, I mean the Broncos are sniffing right behind them, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And they got to fix whatever. Also, I mean, there's a lot of distractions going around that organization right now, clearly.
You leave Taylor out of this.
Facts are facts.
All right, moving on from this. Mm-hmm. All right, let's level set here. You know, we talked about our power rankings last week. Going into this week, some crazy stuff happened. We were keeping an eye on Detroit, keeping an eye on Green Bay, Denver. What's your top 5 look like now?
Yeah, mine's about as close as what was just released, but a little number 2s are switched. I think number 1, hands down, San Francisco.
Yeah, San Fran looks practically unbeatable.
We are number 2. Look at who we've beaten now. Look at how we've beaten everybody, in our wins. And I think we look the most complete team.
You know what pisses me off? Is when people say you shouldn't have beat Seattle by that small of a margin. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know what? You saw us in clutch time.
Yeah.
Finally.
And Seattle's no joke. People forget, early half of the season, we were like, this is the team. And they were neck and neck with the Niners. I know there was some injury, but still.
No. But what I'm trying to say is you can't make everybody happy. Everyone either wants you to blow out every team you play.
Yeah.
And then because you blew them out, they're fraudulent or they're not a good team.
Except for the Eagles, you get that pass.
Right. But, if you do have a team that shows up and pushes you to the absolute limit, if we were to crash and burn during that game, how much shit would we have taken?
A lot.
And we showed up. We showed up in the last 2 minutes, and we won that game.
We still beat by a good little margin. I mean, that's the thing. So it's not like it was just a
I'm just
field
saying,
goal.
People shouldn't discount that Seattle win.
Well, they're going to because it's the Cowboys. If it was any other, my number 3 is the Ravens, who won very nose of the Rams, who we destroyed.
Yeah.
But that doesn't knock the Ravens out.
Although their win was very cool, winning on a walk-off punt return.
For sure. They are number 3. Power rankers have the number 2. I get it because they're leading the AFC. But let's be honest. I think they're number 3 right now. They've had some tough losses themselves. Really, I think they're about to play outside of they're about to play those tough strikes because they got the Niners.
They have the hardest strength of schedule to wrap up the season, and we're second.
Yeah, that's why I think we're number 2 because we've started to answer those questions, right? But it's very neck and neck. Like I said, I text you as it could be interchangeable. I would put us, and then I think 4 and 5 still got to put the Eagles in just based on what they've been doing up to this point. We will see how they rebound. But what's fair is fair. I think they're number 4, and I think 5 is still the Dolphins because they are leading their division. They have some questions coming up too, and they got to play the Ravens, and they got to play us.
Yeah, I have a hard time putting the Dolphins at number 5, and I actually went through.
You put the Bills?
No, I don't either. I think you're right to have the Dolphins at 5, but I am just so disappointed in that game yesterday.
Yeah.
I had a lot of feelings about how they completely collapsed. They abandoned the run. And that offense is shit without Tyreek Hill, essentially.
Yeah. And he's banged up, and that ankle injuries last couple weeks. Now they lost Connor Williams.
Torn ACL.
That O-line's banged up, and it's not looking good. And that defense, who at first was one of the top defenses, it just looked you could cut through butter.
It was crazy because I felt like every 6 plays, one of their players was getting hurt. Mm-hmm. I don't understand. They were playing the Titans, and it got very physical in that game, and they couldn't hang. So now you kind of have a blueprint. All right, if you get physical with the Dolphins, you're going to beat them because they can't take a punch, essentially.
And they're about to play some physical. I mean, we can get physical. The Ravens can definitely, what's the song? Get physical. Anyways, but yeah, it's disaster. I mean, like I said, that 5 spot is very wide open.
It is.
I'm only gonna give it just based on what the right, but that can interchange.
One of the things I wanted to talk to you about was the overall talent parity in the league right now.
Yeah.
It's you got San Fran up here, and everybody else. So if anything weird happens to San Francisco, literally anybody else can win.
I still think it's Niners, and I'm going to say the Cowboys and then Ravens. I really think those are the three teams right now.
I think it's a lot closer than you think.
I think NFC-wise right now. I do. Who else is good in the NFC right now? Packers lost the Giants. Like, I mean, that was our surprise.
You know what's crazy? Is I'm watching last night's game with Tommy Cutlets and the mob, and I'm thinking to myself, thank God we've already played the Giants twice. I would not want to see them in December. They are going to play spoiler, and they might work in our favor.
I'm hoping. Tommy Cutlets. I like chicken cutlets too. So I mean, they play the Eagles twice, so they're going to get one of them. They're going to get one of them. And yeah, I mean, and they're all playing for contracts too.
Because
Exactly.
they could easily be like, you know what, the season's done for us. We're essentially eliminated. But Tommy DeVito doesn't want to stop playing football.
Yeah.
Saquon's in a contract year. And all those wide receivers have something to prove.
Can I ask you about Tommy DeVito? What do you do because he's won every game except for us. Mm-hmm. And I know you just paid Danny the big, but this is what Raiders have done with Jimmy G.
Honestly, though, I had the same question. I'm watching the game being like, you just paid Danny Dimes $60 million.
Which you shouldn't. We all knew that.
Everyone knows you shouldn't have. To have some kid from Jersey who still lives with his mom.
Hey.
Take it like
she makes those good chicken cutlets. Mom,
the chicken cutlets.
I love it though, and I love his dad.
Oh my God!
I love his agent.
So you know his dad is a plumber, owns a plumbing company. And the ad for his plumbing company, they're dressed like Mario and Luigi. I lost it.
Yes.
Okay, Charlie, is this like real or is this a bit? Cause like.
I've met a lot of interesting people. I think it's real. I mean, and that's why I think it's fun that Tommy DeVito should be the starting quarterback. I mean, look what Minshew Mania and Colts. I mean, the Colts are 7-6 right now.
Everybody loves a character, and when you're not winning football games, this is the next.
But that's
best
what
thing.
the NFL used to be. There were characters, especially in the 70s, and like everyone has their kind of their shtick.
Yeah.
Like I like bringing that back. Like why not? And I think they have an interesting conversation in the postseason. If they can win one of those Eagles games, just one, there's going to be an interesting conversation at quarterback.
I'm here for it.
And rightfully so.
I'm always rooting for chaos. That's just me.
Agent of Chaos.
Yes.
Dark Knight. But yeah, it's, I don't know, that fifth spot is wide open though.
All right, well, I'm going to switch gears to a completely different sport since we talked about fighting earlier. Let's talk about this huge pay-per-view card. December pay-per-view fights are my favorite. One, because they always are my birthday week. And two, you've got the biggest fights of the year.
They're always stacked.
And I was looking at the card, trying to figure out my predictions, and I'm like, there's literally 6 fights on my list, but there could have been 8. There could have been 10.
And a couple of these could have been their own main events or even fight night main events.
Yeah, like literally, I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is a fight that I might actually buy because it's so good.
Last minute Vegas trip.
I have been to Vegas.
Yes, 2019.
I did. In 2019, I went to Vegas for the December card to see Jeff Neal fight.
There you go.
It was on my birthday. It was my 29th birthday. Got to watch Jeff Neal fight Mike Perry.
Yep.
And then got to see Usman break Colby Covington's jaw, which was awesome.
And Nunez being Jermaine Randamine.
Yeah.
I mean, that was such a stacked card. So
and it was
December always is.
It's the best. Like literally, hands down, the best.
Knock on wood. It typically, for the most part,
holds together.
It's weird. The end of the year.
Well, because it's the biggest fight of the year. That and International Fight Week in July. Those are the 2 cards that matter the most.
Well, let's break it down real quick because it is a great card.
Okay, do you want to go bottom to top or top to bottom?
Let's go bottom.
I thought so. Okay, so in the prelims, you've got Josh Emmett fighting Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell, known for his wild submissions. I believe he's had 2 of the, what's it called, the tornado?
Yeah, Twister.
Yeah,
Twister. Outside of the Korean Zami Chun Sung-yeon was one of the first to have it over Leonard Garcia back in the day.
I don't know why I called it a tornado. I knew it was a Twister.
I mean, it's the same.
Same diff.
It sucks. It's also a version of a banana split if you're an amateur wrestler, and those suck. Told you. But anyways, yes. Josh Emmett.
And Thug Nasty, Bryce Mitchell, is stepping in on short notice technically.
He is. He is stepping on, and here's the thing about Josh Emmett. He is an team alpha male Uriah Faber guy, and he is a nose to the grind wrestler, heavy-handed, like knockout power. Has some tough outings, Ilir Tapora, who's getting the next shot, beat him single-handedly. Lost to Yair for the interim title. Without that, but outside of that, he is one of the most dangerous guys. Like, he doesn't get enough credit because he's not out there, but he can knock you out, and his wrestling is second to none in that division.
I am a huge fan of Bryce Mitchell, even though he's hella conservative and he's from, like, backwoods, God knows where. Talks like he hasn't read a book in years. But he is a submission artist. You get on the ground with him, you're not getting back up. And both these guys are fighting for like that contender position in that division because it's kind of a little open right now at 135.
Well, especially for Mitchell, who but we do remember what Ilir Tapora was able to do in Manhattan, like overwhelm, and that's going to be the thing is for Josh the top pressure, controlling that. Bryce is good at going for those legs out of the back, but if he cannot get to that back or the bottom and that pressure, because that wrestling pressure, that's going to be, and he cannot let Josh pivot up and have that power there. It's gonna be tough.
So who you got?
Man, it's very close. I think it's gonna be probably decisions, but I'm gonna lead towards Josh just because of that top of that crushing power, and that's exactly how Ilir Tapora and that power there. But
I'm all in on camo shorts. I'm gonna go Bryce Mitchell. I just had a thought. This is me going off script. Do you want to put a bet on these?
Maybe not that one.
No, like combined.
Yes.
Because I feel like we're going to have different opinions. Maybe we'll overlap here and there. I haven't seen what your picks are. You haven't seen mine for once because I know better. I used to put all of my notes in my notes. Now I don't do that anymore.
I will make one thing, though, with Emmett. I think this is more do or die than Bryce. I mean, because I think because Emmett knows this is the last dance for this.
Yeah, but Bryce is so young, so
that's
energetic.
What I'm saying.
Like,
that's why I could see if Emmett gets finished, which could happen, like as you said, I could see a retirement speech right there.
All right, next one. Vicente Luque, who is a hottie, against Ian
It's not how we're
Gary.
going to rate the...
Okay, look, Vicente Luque has been my MMA crush for years, up until he fought Jeff Neal,
who put him away.
Who destroyed him and busted his face and actually made him look ugly, and now that's all I see when I think about him, honestly.
And you're going against the rising prospect
out of Ireland,
Machado Gary, the future, who was supposed to fight Jeff Neal. Who is in recent, and here's the thing, big distraction, his wife has, what is the thing that she wrote the book about, like Marianne going after young, like stars, it's
I don't know about this.
This is a whole thing, and her ex-husband lives with them, and he's 26, it's a whole thing. She wrote a whole book about approaching young star athletes. Anyways, regardless of that, he's been on a tear, beat Neil Magny pretty single-handedly.
Also, his trash talk game is A1. He's hilarious.
But I think Lou Vicente's fight game is A1 in this. And this is going to be his biggest test. This is going to be his biggest... N is very long in that. But, man, what Vicente can do as far as his explosiveness, his veteranism, that's what he's going to have to...
My only concern with Vicente is that he has been beaten before. There is a blueprint to beat him, and he does not do well against switch hitters.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends. How much of this distraction's getting... what is going with this 26-year-old? That's going to be the thing, because none of this surrounds Vicente. And yes, after the Jeff Neal, that was he had a major...
Yeah, he had facial reconstruction surgery.
But Ian's not going to hit you like that. And that's a different thing. And outside of that, I mean, Vicente, the last couple of fights have been pretty damn good. Put away Tyron Woodley, submitted, and he's got a submission game.
Yes, he does.
So if he can get it.
Those dang Brazilians and the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
But if I had to pick a close, just because we'll see I think In might fight smarter and being the taller, I may nod towards In, maybe decision here, split decision.
All right, I'm going to go opposite of you. I think, not just because we should constantly fight with each other, but I like Vicente. He's got something to prove. If he wants to be in that top 10, top 5, he needs to win.
Yeah.
And I know the UFC is really pushing Ian Gary on all of us, but Vincente can be a star too.
It's a hard pick for me. It's a pick 'em.
Yeah,
it really is a
is.
pick 'em.
It's very close.
And the only reason is because of the range. Like, I think Ian knows he has how dangerous Vicente.
And Vincente has more.
Jeff's the only one that you're like, oh shoot, Jeff has the equal more power
Right.
explosive because he's pure.
Well, I will say
there.
Vincente has a better skill set.
Yeah.
It just depends on things like cardio and like.
But so did Neil Magny, and it just depends. And Ian's kind of good at getting your head. I don't think he'll get in Vincente's, but
Vincente barely speaks English. No point in trash talking.
it's not that. It's just the dude's tough. I mean, that club in Sanford MMA. You're not going to get in any of their head. I mean, it is a war every time, and I think there's also a little bit of mutual respect there. So it's going to be interesting. I wish this could be a 5-round fight.
This could be.
Yeah.
And I really think
Which I think favors Vicente more.
Yeah, because he's cardio. Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like it's going to be an absolute slugfest.
Yeah.
All 3 rounds. We're in for a treat.
All right, the next one. Could this be a retirement party or could it be a resurgence?
He is a psycho. They're both psychopaths.
I think Tony's more of a psycho than Patty. Patty has a controversial win over.
My question is Patty going to even make weight?
He's made weight, but he does
hasn't
blow.
fought in a while.
Yeah, his last fight was against Jared Gordon, which was a lot of people thought Jared Gordon won that fight. He's fighting Tony Ferguson's last win was against Donald Cerrone in June of 2019, pre-COVID.
Yes, I remember.
And he hasn't been the since that interim title lightweight stoppage loss to Gaethje, who you got to be a man to fight.
Oh, Justin Gaethje's the real deal.
And Tony's coming off a loss submission, second round to Bobby King. Had an arm triangle, which I'm a little nothing against Bobby Green, but that he got caught in that. This is a guy, I think a black belt, 10th planet under Eddie Bravo. If you don't know him, watch him. I mean, Tony's always been the slickest guy, but he's never really been the same. And Patty's a wild man, and he can get that back. I'm going to say Patty Pimlet. I think, unfortunately, Tony's on the stop, and this could be, he's got to retire after this.
I'm with you 100%.
Even though he's been training with David Goggins, the famous.
Oh, yeah, I read the book, by the way.
That's almost so much you can do, but David can't,
But yeah, I'm with you, and this is one of those situations where I feel like the UFC fix is kind of in, and this is one of Patty's moments to really stand out and build that fan base to go from star to megastar. And like I said with Ian, it's something that the UFC is just really pushing, and this is kind of, it's a big name he's fighting. He's well known. He's got his own line of energy drinks.
So I followed Patty Pimlet back in 2011, 2012, when he was with Cage Warriors. I mean, he's been in the UK scene it took him a long time to get here, kind of like Conor McGregor, but even longer. I won't get into it, but he had controversial stuff in the back that kind of held it, I feel like. But he's been on the UK scene and he was more Conor McGregor before Conor McGregor, and because he's been doing this since he was 16 and just a protege. But after this, when are they going to decide if he wins? To really, there's a bunch of people call him out, give him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He wins this fight and he launches into
I think he should have. I think he should have already had a bigger. I think not to.
But my concern is I don't even know if he's going to make weight.
We'll see. I mean, yeah,
he definitely. See how fat he gets when he's not in fight camp?
Connor's the same. Ridiculous. Yeah, he loves to eat. That's his favorite thing. He said. Okay. There's a journalist who does what's your favorite thing to do, hobby? He's eating.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we both have Patty.
Yeah.
Moving on, because I feel like we're short on time here.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to read this name because I always say
Shavkat Rotman versus Stephen Thompson. Obviously, Shava we know with Jeff, and Shava is he's sprung from 11th.
He's a star in the making.
He is one of those wrestlers, submission game. I mean, to get a stand-in submission.
But the fact that he could stand with Jeff Neal was
what took his punches, and I feel this is not the fight for Stephen Thompson. I want to see him fight Michael Pereira.
This is Stephen Thompson being a gatekeeper in the 170 division.
And this is them kind of pushing that. And I never will discredit Stephen Thompson because it always takes one. Because Stephen, if anything. He's the Karate Kid. He is there, and he's done some weird stuff. But the wrestling has always been his kryptonite, and if I'm Shava, I know exactly where I'm going. I'm not standing, because as much as Jeff is explosive, Stephen Thompson will cut right through you in many different ways. What she did against Vicente, what she's done against Jorge Masvidal, and that's not going to be what Shava is probably, in my opinion, outside of Bilal, the contender.
Yeah, I agree. I really would like to see him go up, get this win, and go up against the best of the best. I would like to see him against Bilal.
Yeah.
It would be a great
if
fight.
they don't give Bilal, which because they don't want to give him.
Yeah, they don't want to give Bilal a championship fight, which
even
is
though there's
so
a grudge
stupid.
between him and Leon, their stories and Kobe, like they all three have a triangle of don't like each other.
Yeah, Colby has no business, but we'll get there in a minute.
Yeah.
But all right, so we got the same guy here.
Yeah, Shava.
All right, so going for the 125 belt.
Pantoja versus Brandon Royval.
And Brandon Moreno being the backup.
Yeah, and the first fight was pretty fun, scrappy, but Pantoja has been a long-time veteran. Obviously, we saw him
and he
just
struggles
beat
with
Brandon.
injury.
He does. It's hard for him to stay consistent, but the dude, I got him all the way. I got him all the way. I got him by submission, third round.
Yeah, I think he is just really great in scrambles.
Yeah.
He moves fast, and I love. People always give me shit about being a fan of 125ers.
Yeah.
I think 125ers give you the best fights because it's constant action.
It's just so sad still that they, even post Demetrius Johnson, they still don't invest in it.
Yeah, it's really upsetting.
And they're fast, and they can finish too. I mean,
they hit hard.
They a lot of them
you think about like the last couple 125 championship matches. You think about the series between Figueiredo and Moreno.
How about even Matt Schnell last summer in that fight? I forgot who it is, but just crazy coming.
Losing the entire fight, coming back and choking the guy out. Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, but I think I think the only one that can stand Tony Moreno right now is Brandon Moreno, or Mohamed Moscot. That's another story. But all right, main event time.
Ooh. So we got Leon Edwards.
Is it your head or heart moment?
No. This is all in. I'm all in.
All
Leon
right, you're
Edwards
all.
and Colby Covington.
Yeah.
I am a Colby Covington hater. Absolute hater. I mean, like I said, one of the greatest moments of my life was going to watch his jaw get broken.
Here's the thing. I will say what Leon has been able to adapt to is, and especially the big thing in that last fight, was the kicks. That's something Usman, the kicks to the body, the adjustment there. If he can definitely do that with Kobe, because Kobe's just going to press forward. Kobe's not going to knock you. He's like, I'm going to knock you out. You're not going to knock out. He is a pressure fighter. It's boring, but it works. But the thing is, Leon's a great grappler, and if he can stuff those takedowns and those kicks, that's going to be the thing.
I was going to say, Leon's portfolio of skills outweighs Colby's.
Well, Kobe hasn't fought since March of 2022.
The fact that he even got this fight just ticks me off.
And here's the thing. I'm not trying to sound like Kobe. I'm just looking at the thing as like, he's got the cardio. He wins the cardio battle.
Of course.
5 rounds. But the overall skill set and activeness, I think if Leon doesn't stop in late round, he gets the nod. Though I think he'll get the nod one way or another. But I think it's either going to be a late round stoppage or it's going to be a split decision. Leon.
Kamaru Usman gave you the roadmap to beating Colby Covington.
Yeah.
If you can get in his face and literally punch him in the mouth, there is nothing he can do.
But I think Leon is not the punch. I think alone the kicks. Like that's the thing, because Usman's boxing is like one of the best right now, and I mean that's the big reason. Now with kicks, as we know, that frees up. I mean that's exactly kind of what Kobe wants. But I mean I would get to him right early if you can avoid the takedowns. Kobe may win probably the early round, but I would. We know that he could throw a Hail Mary, Leon, and I would go really high. I would do like St. Pierre, Matt Hughes, watch that, number 2. Boom, sets right up.
So you mean to tell me that we agree on 4 out of 6 of these fights, huh?
Yeah.
What
It's okay. No, I mean, we're going to agree on some things because we know these styles. But the great thing about fighting, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, you never really know until they actually get in the cage, lock the door.
That is
down.
That's why I don't bet on fights. People are like, I'm bet on fights. Like,
I love playing daily fantasy for fighting. I love it.
What fantasy league are you not in?
I just really like sports. Just be lucky I'm not really into sports betting. Like, if I really sat here and built parlays, we'd be in trouble.
Or we'd be having a Joe Rogan podcast set.
Stop. All right. Quick things. So we'll talk Stars and Mavs real quick. Okay, so we'll start with the Stars. 4-6 in their last 10 games. What's wrong with our boys?
Inconsistency for sure. I mean, going into the weekend win, dominant loss by the Knights, which I've never seen in this match.
Can I tell you a story? So that game was played at 3 o'clock on Saturday, right? So I went out to dinner with a friend, and then I went to a bar after. They're showing the replay in the bar. I'm like, oh, I don't want to watch this. Cool, whatever. Next morning, I go to watch football, and I get there early so I could get my snacks and not have to worry about crowds or whatever.
Yeah.
Look up at the TV, guess what they're doing? Replaying that same dang game. How many times am I going to have to watch Vegas score 6 goals in one game?
As many times as that TV wants you to. That part.
It was very rude.
Yeah. That was brutal. That was brutal. And it's funny because I got a notification because I couldn't watch it live. And I thought it already ended. It's like, there's no way it already ended. It started like 3. But it was like 3-1, the end of, and because I texted my buddy, he's actually a Knight, so he's like, oh, don't get ahead of yourself. And then the 6th one, it's like, see?
Yeah, it's been really rough. So I dove into stats a little bit because I was curious to see where things. I'm a numbers person.
Yeah.
So the good news is that we're a top 10 scoring team. We actually also rank number 6 in power play percentage, which means we score a lot of goals, which I mean, it has been the case in the last couple games. But in terms of looking at the league as a whole, we're a very strong offensive team. Bad news is Ottinger's really struggling in the net this season. He's only the 23rd best goalie.
Yeah, and you got Wedgwood right there, too.
Wedgwood was further down the list.
That is not allowed to... Dobby? No.
Come back!
Yeah, it's... compared to last season, the guy was dialed in.
So I was trying to figure out, is Ottinger taking a step back, or are we just not playing good defense?
Not good defense.
And so that was where I got this stat from.
Yeah.
So I looked at the hardest hitting teams in the league. We don't crack the top half of that
And that
list.
is a Pete DeBoer problem. Same said friend, Golden Knights fan. It was just like, he's so offensive. But this is a problem a lot of times with, like I said, Stars and Mavs. And
Dallas teams don't play defense.
yeah, except for the Cowboys and the Rangers. But yes, he's so offensive. And we saw this last year too with the Knights and a lot of those postseason games. We have to fix that. I don't know, but I'll say I don't know where we can tweak it.
You have to make a trade.
Yeah,
That's what you have to do.
I mean,
you need to bring in a veteran defensive player that can rile these guys up. Everyone says that Jamie Benn is the emotional leader of this team. He's the captain. He's been the captain. And Jamie Benn's my favorite hockey player of all time. But even I know that he is not enough to, push these guys to where they really should be. No. This team is easily top 3.
Yeah,
easily.
They could be top 2, honestly, with based on that offense. You just add that defensive guy. It just takes that one that comes in, and they got to make moves. They got to make moves. Otherwise, because we picked them as that who posts Rangers, and they still can do it. I mean, been heck of like 500 assists. Hence, and they have guys coming. I mean, several different guys.
leading the team in points, by the way.
Yeah, the dude's almost 40, which is phenomenal.
He's great, and he basically is Wyatt Johnson's dad.
Yeah. I think he signed the paperwork. He's his legal guardian.
He drives him to practice every day. Goes home together.
I don't think Wyatt can even drink yet, legally.
I think he just turned 21.
Okay, well, party on. But I will say Robo's having a great. I mean, what we need from him, but we need defense.
Yeah. Okay. On the other side of the American Airlines Center, Mavericks. Doing slightly better. We're 6-4 in our last 10. We've won 3 in a row. But Dwight Powell has ruined my life.
He's your favorite player.
No, he's not. Every time I look at him, I'm like, when is he going back to Canada?
So you're going to do the blame Canada, South Park.
Yes, I do. I actually do know that reference.
Yes.
Shocking. So Dwight Powell, in his flailing, weird energy, decided to fall on Kyrie Irving and give him a heel contusion. There is no timetable set for Kyrie Irving's return. They said that he avoided needing major surgery, but that's all we have.
Well, I guess.
F you, Dwight Powell. Like, absolutely.
Dwight Powell, you are the heel of the team right now.
I get it. Wrestling.
Yeah, there you go. Let's be honest with Kyrie. That's one thing we knew he signed. I mean, that's an unfortunate for sure. but injuries are not anything out of the ordinary for him, and that's kind of the gamble.
Did you see
which
how many
sucks.
guys we have out? Like, we've been missing Josh Green. He's
It's
out
bad.
with a sprain for a while. Maxi Kleba with a toe. Grant Williams was in and out of the lineup. He's in tonight.
This is the story of this team. I mean, it is.
But the other story is who steps up. So we've been seeing good stuff from Dante Exum. We've been seeing good stuff from Seth Curry, Derek Jones Jr., Jalen Hardy. Like, it's kind of like a rotation of guys who are stepping up. And we've seen some consistency in the last week, so we just got to keep it going. But what makes me worried is even with all of that, Luka still has to score 35, 40, 45 points a game for us to win. Luka also number 2 currently in scoring.
Yeah, I mean, no surprise there, and also another reason why he gets hurt.
Also
the tax.
leads the team in major statistical categories:
Yep.
points, rebounds, and assists. The gap in the assists shook me. Luka's averaging 8.5 assists per game. Kyrie's averaging 5.5. 5.5 or 3.5. But the gap is ridiculous.
I mean, there's a lot of ask of Luka, and that's been the story oldest time now. And we, especially with Kyrie out, we don't know when. We need that, like you said. We need that. Otherwise, Luka's going to be right there.
Yeah, and I think, we talked about making trades for the stars. We always say that we need bigger bodies. This team is not big.
Yeah.
Even Derek Lively, he's been great.
And we know Mark will do it. We saw last year with Kyrie. I mean, they have the ability to do it.
Yeah, but they need to get somebody who will rebound the ball. They literally are like the 4th worst team in rebounding.
Who are you thinking?
I didn't look that far. I just got really caught up in the numbers.
Well, we know they'll make. I mean, we've said this before. They got to make moves now. The line that you have. I'm still one of those believers. Like, especially with Luka and this contract. Like, how long can you think you're going to keep him happy for? When other teams out there are willing to spend the money. Obviously, getting Kyrie, that was huge. But like I said, like, you got to give him those pieces. Otherwise, he's going to be on the shelf.
Yeah. So I'm hoping they make a move for the trade deadline. We'll talk about one more thing and then we'll close out. In-season tournament wrapped up last Saturday.
Yeah.
I actually watched most of it. Don't know why, but I was curious. I found it to be kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. Even though it was highly watched, it's like one of the highest
watched, but
watched when it came
like
to Christmas games and stuff. But
I still feel like it was scripted in a way.
For the Lakers.
Even though they were playing in Vegas, Pacers, great talented team, by the way.
Yeah, they're number 5 in the East.
Tyrese Halliburton, great to watch. But yeah, it was all scripted for the Lakers to win and for LeBron to win the MVP trophy, which, by the way, Anthony Davis put up 40-plus points in that final and didn't get MVP. And then the thing that absolutely killed me was they popped bottles in the locker room for being in-season tournament champions.
You know what? The Rangers, we started a trend here.
No, baseball?
Yeah,
baseball, everyone gets mad about this. The way that baseball celebrates postseason wins, they play 162 games before they go to the postseason. 100.
Yeah, they're hoping that their
they advance rounds. They deserve champagne and beer showers.
Yes.
You win the in-season tournament.
Yeah, and to add to that, the article out, and it made me chuckle. Should the winner of this tournament get an automatic seed in the playoff? And the answer is no. Here's the reason why. We've only had a month and a half of basketball, folks. That's crazy. Anything can happen.
But here's the thing, Charlie. If you're putting a playoff berth on the line, those teams, your Denvers, your Dallases, your Phoenixes, may try a little harder. Do you think really that out of our group, it should have been freaking New Orleans advancing?
No,
we were in the same group as Denver, Houston.
But look where we're at right now. We're still number 3. Lakers are number 6.
We're not number 3. We're like number 5.
Well, I mean, recent standings have us number 3 right now.
I thought
in the
we were
West,
5.
we're number 3.
West.
We're number 3.
You sure?
Yeah.
Like 90% sure we're 5, not 3.
We're gonna go this. If I'm right, she has to take a shot right now. Here
oh, okay.
Here we go. Here we go. We're gonna do it. And she knows if I'm wrong, I'm happy to take a shot. Boom! Dallas is number 3.
Wow. Okay, pour the shot.
I had to do my research based on having this conversation, just because I got a little I was like, I mean, I'm fine with in-season tournaments. I mean, like you said, WNBA does it, invitationals all across. But here's the thing. This thing happens in, November? There's so much more basketball to be played.
Charlie, I understand what you're saying, but I liked the idea. Like, maybe I'm just a simp.
How about
maybe
this?
No, hold on.
Yeah.
Time out. Maybe I'm just easily amused. But having them play on Tuesday and Friday nights, when I know my Cowboys aren't playing, when I know, there's really nothing going on, I tune in to look at people's courts, people's uniforms. I was curious about everything, especially the courts. I actually could build you a power ranking on who had the best court.
I'm right there with you. I think it is good. I just think, now that's just an idea. Here's my idea. Why not the winner have a possible automatic chance at least the play-in? But, of course, they can surpass that for sure. But I would not feel good about a team like the Lakers, who we know are injury-prone, win it, and then come, we're in December, and come April.
I see what you're saying.
And they're not there, and a team deserves. That is not.
They're
now,
probably
play-in.
going to be there.
Yeah. But we don't know. We just don't. I just think, now, how about this? Move the play-in tournament a little bit up. Move it near February. More All-Star, where we see where everything. I would not feel good to have a team that may be regressed over some teams that deserve it. That's my own thing.
So the way the WNBA does it is it happens throughout the entire season. So they're sprinkled in there. They play 1 or 2 Commissioner Cup games a month rather than lining them all up in 1 month.
So they're going to add more.
No, I'm saying that's how the WNBA does it.
Then that's how they should do it. I'm just saying,
It's
based
they
off
have
this
it over
one
time,
tournament.
and the final is closer towards the end of the season.
Oh, and that's good. I'm just saying, based on this tournament.
And what was crazy is last season, the team that won the Commissioner's Cup also won the WNBA Finals.
And that's perfect, because I'm just saying, with this one thing, I was like, wait, they just wrapped up a month.
I think for me, the narrative of giving them a playoff berth, I think you're headed in the right direction. That may not be the solution, but you're basically telling guys, all right, we threw this tournament together, and if you win, you get an extra $500K. To the guy on the edge of the bench,
that's good.
Holy fuck, that's $500,000.
Yeah,
Sign me up.
Perfect.
To a LeBron, well, maybe not. LeBron's not the best example. To a Jokic.
Yeah.
It's $500K.
Yeah.
Cool. There's got to be something a little bit more incentive based for the team to make them want to play.
$1 million, you got the money,
Because you have to
baby.
think they also did this to try to reduce load management, right?
Yeah.
So how do you get, and you want people's eyeballs on the sport earlier so that at the end you've got more people watching.
Well, I mean, I think.
So you have to incentivize the players and the fans. And I think they did a good job incentivizing the fans, because there was a lot of, how is this going to work? How is this different from a regular game? How's this? How's that? But I think something needs to change for the players.
$1 million. It's nothing. Throw $1 million. $1 million crash prize.
Instead of $500K a person, $1 million a person?
Could.
You think that's going to make a difference to a guy like a Luka?
I mean, I don't think. I mean, at the end of the day, no. Luka's only I want the real prize. I want the real prize.
That's what I'm saying. I can only imagine a Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, James Harden looking at this why?
Well,
Which is why you had a team like New Orleans.
Yeah.
Make the run that they did, or a team like the Pacers make a run like they did. Milwaukee should have beaten the Pacers. They should have.
But also, okay, let's step out of NBA just real quick. Basketball does this all the time. Invitational tournaments in the beginning of the year. I mean, that doesn't necessarily line up to the March Madness. I mean, we like shiny things. That's what we always say about the interim title belts and fights. It doesn't. It's a number one contender, but it doesn't have to be. You don't have to make an interim title for every single fight. Fans love shiny things, but this is the way NBA, okay, before Christmas we know it's a dead zone. How can we spice things up? That's good. I'm not against it. I don't think the winner, unless you can absolutely tell me they're going to be the number 4, 5, 7 team, deserves over anything that by then. I think it's fine the way it is. The players already should be sent out. You're an NBA freaking player.
Yeah,
You're an NBA player.
You should be bringing it every night. I agree.
So, if it's not, you're not going to be there with the Mavs or Denver, because Jagat doesn't need 500. He doesn't need any money. He just wants to be the best. And if you don't want to be the best,
All right. I think that does it for us.
All right, guys. Till next time. Thank you for tuning in. Pouring Takes.